Discussion in a lot of the boxing outlets and YouTube as a whole have been talking about Usyk going up to heavyweight to try his luck there and try to sort of solidify his sort of legacy by maybe emulating what a Holyfield was able to achieve. I mean, he's pretty much done all he can do in the cruiserweight division. He's won the World Boxing Series, which I predicted he would win before the first punch was thrown. But the manner in which he did it is what's really impressive. His footwork, his movement, and the sheer volume of punches that he was throwing, he made Gassiev look super ordinary. So my hats off to Usyk. He looked fantastic. But what next? As I mentioned earlier, he's unified the division in what 15 fights. He's undisputed. He's won the Muhammad Ali Trophy. There really isn't much left for him to do now, and the money is clearly in the heavyweight division, which means obviously going up and fighting the big boys. But my apprehension in regards to that is the heavyweight division isn't how it was, a couple of decades back. My favorite boxer of all time is Mike Tyson. There's a reason why I got into watching boxing. He was my favorite boxer, but he was 5'10". Reach wise, he was probably 76, no more than 78 inches tops. And now we're in a division or an era, sorry, where there's effectively mutants, on the top of the tree in the heavyweight division. You've got Wilder, Joshua, Fury. It was the Klitschko's for basically a decade, and genetically, it's a different ball game now. You're asking Usyk to come up, and he's what? He's probably a good height. He's probably about 6'3" ish, I think, 6'3", 6'4" tops. But reach wise, he's probably going to be around no more than 78. So that's a lot of height and reach that you're giving up. And we don't know how he's going to look with. I'm saying all this based on the size he's at now. But let's say he packed on another 14 pounds. He went up another stone. Um, where does that put him power wise? We don't know. But how's that going to affect his movement? Because his movement and his footwork and his elusiveness is going to play a huge part in his success in the heavyweight division. I have no doubt from a boxing fundamental side of things, he will outbox pretty much everyone in that division. Fury will give him a run for his money, but he will outbox Wilder. For most parts, he'll outbox Joshua, and I'm a Joshua fan. He'll outbox Joshua for the most part. But when I say for the most part, I'm talking about the early stages. The first three, four, 5 rounds. Yes, he'll probably be really wary. He'll be fresh. He'll be smart. He'll be moving. He'll be on his toes. He'll be working the ring. But Wilder, Joshua, they only need that one slip, that one mistake, and they're in, and they're gonna jump on you. And will he have the physicality to be able to push them off him? That's where I think he'll be lacking. Because we all know Wilder and Joshua, they're great finishers. Once they've got someone wobbled, it's pretty much the writings on the wall from that moment on. Okay, maybe they don't finish them in that phase, or they get the knockdown and they get the standing count and they engage again. But the writings on the wall, they're going to get them out of there, and that's where I think Usyk is going to probably find the heavyweight division pretty difficult, because he's in a sticky situation, because the prestigious and the legacy is going to be in the heavyweight division, just because he's got an opportunity to follow the footsteps of another great cruiserweight champion in Holyfield. But Holyfield did it at the heavyweight, did the cruiserweight, did it at the heavyweight. But to do it at the heavyweight, you're gonna have to fight the likes of Bellew, Parker, Wilder, and I don't doubt he'll probably be able to beat each one of them, on his day. If he's got the game plan and he, you know, perfects it, I don't doubt he could outbox all those aforementioned fighters. But Usyk strikes me the sort of person who wants to make a name for himself. Yeah, of course you want to make money, but he wants to, be spoken of in years to come. That's clearly shown by what he's done in the cruiserweight division. He's come, he's not messed around. 15 fights in, he's cleaned up. He's got all the belts. He's undisputed. And he doesn't strike me the sort of person who will go up to heavyweight just to be there, just to take part. Yeah, there's probably more money in heavyweight in the bigger fights, but he strikes me as the sort of person who really want to go out there and actually, win belts and cement himself as one of the greatest. And it'll be very difficult, I feel, against the Titans in, Joshua, Wilder, and Fury. Obviously, Klitschko's they're no longer fighting, but that's the sort of size wise that we were talking about. And for the future up and coming boxers, I mean, look at Joshua; he's a beast. But of the three that I mentioned in terms of effectively ruling the heavyweight, he's the shortest of the three. It's hard to believe that when you look at him, you're like, wow, this guy's a beast. But up against Wilder and Fury, he's the shortest guy. Reach wise, it's got to be around 82, 83. Wilder, I think, is probably you know at, about the 83, 84 mark, and Fury is probably going to be in the mid 80s. So, I mean, that's a lot to give up. With fighting Wilder, Wilder. I mean, I rate Joshua over Wilder. Everybody knows that. But Wilder, he's used to being outboxed, especially in the last sort of 5, 6 fights. He's used to being outboxed, but he's very patient. Um, if he feels that that person, his opponent, may be slightly lacking in the power department, he can afford to be patient and get them out there in the latter stages. Spielka was outboxing him. Washington was doing fairly well against him until he got sparked out. And Wilder knows that he has the power and the athleticism and stamina to see it out, get to 8, 9, 10 rounds, and blow them away. And that's the same with Joshua. He's shown in the last few fights that he can fight long. He can keep someone on the end of his jab. He can cut the corner. He can cut the ring off. He can hold the center of the ring. He can dictate the tempo, and he can effectively keep someone off him for 12 rounds. He showed that perfectly against Joshua. It wasn't against Parker. It wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing fight, but from a trainer's perspective and someone putting together a fight strategy and a plan, then you'll be quite pleased with that because he was able to demonstrate that he can show that side of him rather than just knocking over people, in the early stages of a fight. He's shown that he can play the long game and the safe game and the smart game. And Fury will be slightly different because out of in comparison to Joshua and Wilder, Fury's probably the one that could closely match Usyk in terms of stylistically. But Fury has the added benefit of being much taller, much heavier, much longer. And he will be of Klitschko of old, where he will tie him up as often as he can. He will lean on him. He'll put, his whole weight on him. And that's giving me a big answer for someone of Usyk's size. And I'm talking about the size he's in now. We don't know if he's going to go to heavyweight. We don't know, obviously, he's going to pack on, that extra weight. But, based on the size he is now, that's a lot to ask for someone to basically combat. And I think that will ultimately be the undoing of him, which would be a shame because I think he's a fantastic fighter. But I just don't see the benefit of him going up to heavyweight. But again, he's in the tricky situation because he's done everything he can do in a cruiserweight division. I suppose the next option is to face Bellew. That's what it sounds like it's going to be, from Hearn's recent interviews and from Usyk's mouth directly or via translator, and you know Bellew himself. It's a fight that it looks like it's going to happen. It will probably make decent money for both of them, and good luck to them both. Bellew will absolutely want to do it at cruiserweight because he'll want to get all those four belts and tack his name against Usyk in terms of from a legacy fight. But Usyk will probably want to do a heavyweight to sort of go up in size and then maybe sort of test the waters in terms of whether or not this is the division for him. But from Bellew's perspective, that there's no value in that. Why would you fight Usyk, who holds all the belts in the cruiserweight at a slightly higher weight, for a nothing fight other than making a little bit of money? I mean, that's what Bellew wants to do, and he said many a times he's made good money on both those hay fights. It sounds like now he's trying to make a little legacy for himself, so he'll definitely want to do it at cruiserweight. But then all the risk is then with Usyk. So it'll be very interesting to see sort of how that pans out. But my opinion is he'll hold his own against the next tier down for the Wilders, the Joshuas, and the Furies. He'll outbox most of them. He'll do well. But again, he strikes with someone who wants to do, win world titles. And at the moment, those who hold it and the lineal champion in Fury would just be too big for him. But that's my honest, my humble opinion.